So you've heard us talk many times about the importance of addressing both the math and the emotion. This week, we unpack some insights from the fabulous book, The Psychology of Money, touching on that very topic. I often get asked about my favorite investing books, and I think most people ask with an idea of learning about funds or ETFs, allocating, trading. If you know us here at 10, you know that that's important to us, but the other factor in that equation to success that multiplies whatever knowledge you have is the emotion of it, the mindsets that play on any of us. The book that I would recommend on that topic, The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel, will be citing this book endlessly. He shares a great quote that I think sums this up perfectly. Knowing what to do tells you nothing about what happens in your head when you go to try to do it. So we're going to unpack this in kind of 4 parts. The first 2 that we'll touch on this week, good old fear and greed. So things that may not be just about the execution or what's happening in your head, but happening alongside somewhere in the background. Next week, we're going to touch on experience and the consequences of being wrong, which are very much in the vein of what Morgan Housel's talking about, which is that, hey, you can whiteboard a lot of things, did this for many years on the football teams, draw up the play, it looks perfect. Whole different deal when you go and there's 11 guys on the other side trying to stop you from executing on that. So to begin, again, we know as investors not to panic sell, not to chase hot markets, to stay disciplined, in short. And yet that's so difficult. So when we're talking about greed, again, a lot of times we think about, Morgan Housel writes about the people with the quote unquote Lamborghini problems, that it's all about flaunting. For us, it can manifest as some related cousins that sneak in that are similar in that they lead to the same types of behaviors that are counterproductive to reaching success. These may have great intentions. They may be nothing more than being able to retire one day, take care of your loved ones. But if they're driven from a mindset of scarcity, they're going to, again, usually have drivers that are going to be counterproductive to the types of behaviors that we want to have. Given that 2/3 of people are protector mindsets, they view money as security, they're innately wired to never feel like they have enough, this is going to be a challenge for most of us. So we want to make sure to address it. So how then does this manifest, this form of greed, if you will, or scarcity mindset for people with the more benign intentions? The first is just, again, a feeling, as you said, that there's not enough. They're chasing something that they really don't need. And this comes from a place of people usually, in our experience, never really having defined, what do you really need? They have vague notions of taking care of their kids, of traveling, of retiring, of having some form of financial peace, but they've never really put the numbers down, really defined it. And then 2, set out a realistically both prudent and probable way of achieving it, that usually, again, has nothing to do with chasing hot markets or panic selling into bear markets. The second key way that this manifests then is when people are trying to chase, they think, again, that their intentions for what they want their money to do, i.e. this is a growth portfolio, have anything to do with what's actually going to manifest within their portfolio. You can call it, and we've heard all the names, it's not necessarily going to change, again, the dynamics. And so what happens here is people stretch. They move past their risk profile in some ways that are, again, dangerous, if not even counterproductive, to eventually reaching their goals. The second key barrier between knowledge and execution, maintaining that discipline, is fear. Jason Zweig, in his book, Your Money in Your Brain, talks about something we've quoted many times, which is the same part of our brain that processes mortal danger, processes losing money. You think about being chased by a bear in the woods, or you think about being chased by a bear market and the kind of fear that ensues in either one of those, it's intense. And I think if we're honest with ourselves, unless we're Grizzly Adams, it's probably not going to be our most rational moment. So again, fear, often thought of, and thus people want to push it away as something that's for those who are weak or perhaps uninformed. It's not about being weak, but again, how we're literally wired as human beings. So that's why at 10, we say, hey, look, let's own it. Let's own that Bad markets are scary. Tough times are scary. And we need to be able to have a process, a partnership that can address, hold us accountable, give us that roadmap when, again, things get blurry through that lens of fear. The key thing that Morgan Housel shares around fear and volatility, and again, mindset and how you think of it too, is to think of it as rather than a fine, something that happens to you. Again, it's often said volatility is the price that people have to pay to be an investor. That's true. But how do you think about that cost? Again, is it, as he talks about, a traffic fine because you're speeding, something punitive to you? Or is it simply the fee that you pay, the admission to the park? Yeah, it's going to come with some rides, but at the end of the day, going to be a positive, a good thing. And I think that fine versus fee mentality is a critical way to, again, get yourself into a healthier mindset, accept that, again, you can reach your goals by going through these fears. And again, it's not something that's happening to you. It's just a part of the journey to finding financial success. So we'll come back next week, talk about the role of experience, how for any of us, the moment we find ourselves in is usually new, and that comes with new challenges, as well as just the gravity of the consequences of making a mistake and how that weighs on so many people. In short, it takes a team to do any of these things, to navigate it. Partners. This morning as I was driving in thinking about shooting this video, harken back to the Lord of the Rings. We all need that Sam who can come alongside of us, help us carry the weight of that journey, maybe confront some of those orcs, AKA bear markets that are going to come along the way. And for those of you who have chosen us to be on your team, we thank you.